Pastor 𝐲𝐻𝐿𝐴 has finally reacted to the news that he had resigned from his father's ministry. And he has done a couple of things that, of course, we discussed in our very first video on this particular topic, and it's quite interesting. We are going to look at his statement and then some other observations of what he has done, and I'll give my 2 cents of what I think about what is going on. First of all, his statement. As when I recorded the first video, his account, his personal Instagram account was changed from 𝐲𝐻𝐿𝐴 to Anazao Generation. Now he has changed it back to 𝐲𝐻𝐿𝐴 based on the fact we discussed last time, and he has made a statement now so that it will not be taken to be more of like something else but coming from him. Like I said, my dear friends, we deal on only facts here and facts only. So reading now from his Instagram account, which has grown by 1,000 followers, I think, in the past few days, this is what he had to say, and please let's listen attentively because I have a couple of things to say on this as well based on what I think might be going on. So he says here, official statement by 𝐲𝐻𝐿𝐴. Now, is it written by him? Whether you like it or not, it's coming from his desk. So he says here, it is worthy of note that no external statements have been authorized or verified by me. Number one, he didn't send out 𝐻𝐨𝐧𝐽 or the platform that posted it to make that statement, and it was not verified by him as well. So one is authority to make the statement. Number two is verifying that statement if it's actually true or not. So 𝐻𝐨𝐽 is also acting independently, probably like I told you in my first video, considering the profile itself or the account credibility. It could be true, it may not be true. So right now he's coming out to say outrightly that it is not true. Meanwhile, 𝐻𝐨𝐽 also reposted this update and said, "We broke the news. We are not ashamed of it. A city set on a hill cannot be hidden. Key is learn to read intelligently. He has not denied our statement and we honor the man of God." They go on to say, did he say he hasn't resigned? Let's read more of what is in the statement. So what does he go further to say? He says, "I must state that there are no complications in my relationship with my beloved family and my beloved dad, Bishop David Oyedpepo." Talking about complications, I don't know if anyone has talked about there being a complication, even though I've seen posts that looked as if there is like this father versus son, blah, blah, blah. On this platform here, we have not looked at it as there being a complication or there being a problem. No. I was even more of like, I congratulate him if that is the move that is actually making, because of course, evidently with the ministry, or what I say, the revival flame I keep seeing on some of his tags, even though most of his videos, he preaches on the altar of Winners Chapel, but when it comes to these outreaches and all that, he has many things he does when it comes to his assignment, his personal assignment for his generation, like he talked about on the podcast we had watched earlier. So there is no issue. So if there's anyone painting an issue or there being, complications, if you are looking at it with a negative connotation, then that is not the case, as we looked at on this platform. He goes on to say right here that who have stood by and supported me over the years, nor are there any. So the any right now is looking at the same complications, nor are there any complications in my commitment to my church turned home national. So there's no complication with his relationship with the dad, of course, and there is no complications with him and his church. Now, of course, when I looked at it, if you looked at my thumbnail on the first video, the presentation I made there was to look at more of like, there being that separation, but the main content itself, which you also have to note, because for me, myself, I know exactly what I do intentionally to get you to, get into the video and listen to what I have to say. So he's saying that there is no problem with him and his church, which is his home. So now he's looking at the entire church itself. Of course, for him to be in the ministry, he's probably pastoring a branch. He's not having any complications with the ministry itself as a church and has no complications with his father. Then he continues to say right here, "I remain a steadfast member of Living Faith Church dedicated to service in the body of Christ. So he is not out of Living Faith Church. So it's good that this is coming from him. If not, who knows where this conversation would have gotten to right now. Anyway, it's not going to stop us discussing what I want to discuss in my next video, because I already shot the video looking at the succession plan of the church, and for also the followers themselves to get to learn when it comes to the mandate or how the church itself runs. So we'll still look at that in our next video, but I had to just come out with this here so that it clears the air based on his side, because I can't see myself reporting on the fact that, okay, he's said to have left and then I don't get to give you an update. I have to also give you an update, so it doesn't look as if it's what I'm wishing for. No, whatever happens, I have to always stay on the fence, look at what is happening here, then make an informed conclusion. So he says here, I urge the general public to treat information not communicated by me or from any of my social media platforms with extreme caution. So if it is not coming from him, be careful on this particular one. He now says here, there should be no further publications on social media, electronic, print media, about any severance of my relationship with the Living Faith Church or my family without my express authorization, as it may be considered a breach to my privacy. Thank you so much for understanding. Very wonderful. So now it comes with his tags right there. So like I told you before, you could see right now on the screen, this was the name of the account before, and now this is now the name again. So it's more of like everything going back to default settings. So, and which I think is actually a good move as well. Probably I think 𝐻𝐨𝐧𝐽, the platform that brought out the news, is also going to report on this particular update that he is not out of the ministry. Like I would say as well, maybe this right here is also testing the waters to see maybe public reaction if that happens tomorrow. Is something like this going to happen? It is possible. One thing you also have to notice that, like the father himself said in a video we looked at in our last video, he said categorically,
don't call your sons and daughters to ministry. You may frustrate their destiny. Don't. You don't have to be a minister to serve God. I've been a servant of God for how long? Since 76, I've been running crusade. Who is a servant of God? Somebody who's serving God's interest. Allow them to be positioned where they belong. You will have rest.
Do not call your sons and daughters into ministry. And like we have looked at them also talk in the video that came out of them on the podcast, none of them were called into ministry by their father. They themselves, they got a call on their own to be into ministry. They're just fortunate that they have a platform, or the father runs a ministry that they are actively part of. And talking about him as a focal point, he is actively part of as a ministry. Do you understand? But as to him leaving, no. Of course, he can still be hybrid. He can still be functioning in that ministry, in his father's ministry, and be doing his own personal call as well, his own personal mandate, which I think it's okay. I don't see anything wrong with that, except maybe it goes against the rules, because I read some comments in our first video saying that his pattern and the way of doing things is totally different from probably the way the church itself is known to do things. So he has a different calling and all. So now those who believe that he had left, he's now saying that he did not leave, that he's still there. That means he still remains the Youth Alive Fellowship president, more of like, the one in charge of the Youth International, which should be his position as well. Because I was wondering in my first video, how come he just got this position in September and now he's being said to resign? It does not add up. I was asking questions, but now he has cleared the air. I think this closed the curtains on discussing about him and the ministry and there being, that severance of relationship or him starting of his own. Like I said as well, he could still do his own personal calling or his own personal assignment while still in the ministry, if it is not against the modus operandi of the ministry, of him being a pastor, of him being a pastor over there. But like I said, you have to read the book of the church, the mandate, which goes in detail to explain the organogram of the ministry, and also talks about this whole succession thing, and even how you have to conduct yourself as a winners chapel pastor. Some of you that are members have not read that book before. I've taken my time to go through it to understand exactly what I'm talking about, so that I will not come here and be saying gibberish. I would say whatever is going on behind the scenes, whatever made the platform release that particular news, that it's everywhere. You have to know that the person running that particular platform is an insider in the ministry. I wouldn't say I know much because I'm external to this particular situation, but you could tell me what you think about this in the comment. Till I see you next time, my name remains George.
Pastor David said, it comes with divine abilities. God will not give you an ability that doesn't match your vision. Right? So that's an experience for me. It goes back again to be able to hear God's voice.